Yo, vloggers on now. This your boy Farai, the Farai, not the Fari, for the people in the back. Welcome to Come True. Thanks for coming through. Your boy feeling great. Fresh cut. Shout out Jamal. Expect to have a good time, man.
What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? No long intro. I hot, I tired, but we here for another banger, man. Let's get into it, man.
Yo, if you know, you know. If you watch or you listen to the last part, you don't know is Brian back from the dead. So we're gonna get into the part. We didn't recover right now.
And y'all see we got a guest today. This one is close to my heart. This is I call him my baby brother, but he ain't so much a baby anymore. Blood brother, same mother, same father. Tyree Nelson, welcome. Introduce yourself.
That was all so good, yo. I don't have it. I don't have something that cool, but yes. This is Tyree. This is my blood brother over here. Very good friends, Webb and Brian. I am Tyree. I'm from St. Croix, and I love life. What?
Well,
Any introduction any specifications
no,
of my
that works.
introduction?
We'll get into everything throughout the pod. I was just trying to make it
Yes,
squirm
he
for a
love
little
life,
bit.
guys. That's it.
Hey,
Yeah. Let's start
all
there.
right. So let's kick it off, man. I know 2 episodes ago now, when our cousin CJ was on, he did bring up a lot of things about his brother who had passed, and today actually happens to be the day where everybody on St. Croix throughout the world received a phone call about Zan actually passing away again in a car accident. So it kind of does fall in line with the things that we're going to be talking about on the pod today, because Zan, he did go to California as a means to seek opportunities outside of his hometown as a means of growth. And that's kind of the overall theme of today's pod. So I guess before we even move forward, Tyree, any quick little Zion stories you want to just bring up in memory of him, in honor of him? We kind of did that last
Yeah.
pod, so you didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, for sure. That is a fantastic way of opening this. Shout out Zion James for sure. Zion Hassani James. And one thing about Zion, boy, Zion would always bet on himself every single time. I'll never forget. We will be playing like basketball in the yard, and every time, not every time, but most times he would like lose. He would lose around, and in other situations he would do this a lot too. But he would be like, if he lost, he would be like, "Okay, I bet if I go outside the gate and I make the shot, I win the game." Okay. And every single time, I doubt it, bro. Every single time he would make that shot, and like he's like the clutch man. Down would come in clutch, time in and time out for sure. So that's like the most. That's like what's like right there for me to share about Zion. And yeah, man. I was actually talking to someone last night about Zion too, and how certain people, they are on it, and like it's uh, just like tragic when someone like that just is gone for no good reason, and just like that's something we need to stop and just be like acknowledge that life. So for real, Zion was on top of it. He was ahead of the game for me.
Yes, sir. Respect to Zan. Continue to rest in peace. You are missed. You are loved. So yes, I wanted to open it with that. So
Yeah, this podcast is for Zion. Let's do that.
Hey,
Before you go,
let's get
before you
into
jump in,
oh
yeah, I see my boy have life. I don't. Well, the viewers probably can't see, but I see my boy have life enthusiast under his name, and then you give your intro, and you ain't really went into detail about how enthusiastic you is about life, dog. What going on, man?
Yeah, for sure. And life is definitely great. You want me to go in detail about
Nah,
that?
man, we ain't getting to it in the
hey,
part.
oh,
But I expect you though.
Yeah,
Since I
man.
call it out now, I expect you know you got really inject some life and really tell the people what going on and why you love life so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I definitely will, man. Thank you.
So, Terry, now being a you the guest, we'll start with you. So, I know you went to UVI like myself, but you went along the lines of doing a lot of study abroad. I think you did two of them, right?
Too,
Yeah,
yes.
one in Canada. I forget exactly where, and one in Hawaii. And then you've also done a lot of traveling with your nonprofit and without. Um, so how has leaving St. Croix, whether to live long term or just short term vacation, whatever, traveling in general, impacted your life?
It changes the trajectory of my life in many many ways, and it all started with me going to Hawaii. And I went to Oahu. I went to University of Manoa, and that was my first exchange program, and that definitely changed my life. That's for sure. Um, how exactly? Well, I thought about going to Hawaii even before I went to Hawaii. So like going to Hawaii really felt like a big deal for me, because I knew I wanted to go to UVI after I graduated from high school. Check, and then it just turned out that because of the hurricanes, after the hurricane happened in 2017, that's like when I was able to. It kind of put me onto the path of going away to Hawaii. Like I don't know how I was gonna do it before, but like I'm grateful for that hurricane because it really put me onto going there. So going to Hawaii really was like, I'm sure we all might have that feeling. We've been away from home. Like you're outside of your comfort zone, outside of the environment that makes you who you are, or makes you the version of yourself that you think is you. You know, so like going to Hawaii for me was just like mind blowing, bro. I went by myself, and I went for school, so I was there for like 3 months. Um, I think at first, the first thing that really blew my mind was the fact that like nobody here knows me, yo. I could really just show up and just be a crazy man, or like, you know what I mean. So at first, it had me thinking about like my values, like what is it that I could stand on, like even if nobody around me could like pull me up on it. You know what I mean? So like I had the opportunity to like find out what it is that I liked and dislike, and the way I want to live my life, the kind of people I want to interact with. And I did a lot of stuff I would not normally do. That's for sure, especially hanging out with people, white people. Them on a different they're on a different beat, you know. So yeah, that put me onto a lot of game until it's like the world is just it's bigger than St. Croix, you know? Like there's so much places out there. And mhm.
It was also there where you picked up on reading, right? I think where you mentioned the power of now, your first book or something like that. Tell that story.
Yes,
That was pretty cool how you explained it to me.
yes, yeah, man. No, that it's even the fact that I find, even like the fact that I found that book. I have to like, I have to like kind of bring my words in because when I get excited, I kind of like blah 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 blah. But the way I found that book and everything was really like the fruit of me going over there. I don't know if y'all heard of The Power of Now, but it is a book about enlightenment essentially. But the way I found that book, I was walking just randomly down this path in the school, and like it was just amongst these other like dirty books. It was like a for a free spot in the university, and this was just like a random book. I don't really know why I picked it up, but something about it drew me to the book, and like I really that's really like how I began to this path of discovering who I am in the world, and just like thinking on that beat. It all started with me finding that book, and I didn't even um it was just very spontaneous. That's the word I would use. How I stumbled into the book, you know, and then ever since then I've just been just choosing to be fearless, choosing to just do things and just be present, you know, just like seek that consciousness, and it's led me down this path of life. Yeah, man.
You don't think that you would have been in a similar place had it not been for you going to these places outside of St. Croix?
No, man, no. It would not have happened had I have stayed home, man. Like you experience so much outside of your hometown. Even anyway, not even just in Korea. And I think it it's even more important for me to have left because this is a small island. You know, it's not like we live in the States where if I want to, we could just drive away. And this was a small island, bro. So St. Croix is a small island altogether. So going away to the places like Hawaii and in Canada, to be clear, I went to Nova Scotia, Canada. If y'all know where that is, that's like all the way out east. And in Nova Scotia, I went to this island called Cape Breton Island. You know this, Brian? Cape Breton is off.
Not at all.
It's just out there, bro. No, dude, I don't even know why I went out there.
I mean,
dude,
if you dig, you might as well take the risk.
I do know why I went.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, for my second time around, after going to Hawaii, I was like, no, I got to do more than this, man. And the National Student Exchange, they have like schools in the mainland, Hawaii, and like some in Canada. And I knew I wanted to do a next exchange, but I was like, I ain't really messing with going to America right now. Like that was when Trump was president. They just seemed to have like a lot going on, and I wasn't really into that. You know what I mean? So I just chose a school in Canada. And I chose a school that had, so I studied hospitality and tourism. So like I strategically chose places also that I could have like learned something about hospitality and tourism. You know, Hawaii have their tourism booming. So I learned a lot about like that could be us in 15, 10 years if we don't really act right, essentially. And then Canadians are known to be very hospitable people. I don't know if you knew that. They're very friendly people. Yeah, they are. So I went over there to learn a little bit about how to be like that. So yeah, man, open my mind.
All right.
And I also did some traveling. With CJ and his girlfriend and my ex-girlfriend and our friend, and we went cross country across Europe. We started in Slovenia and we made our way all the way up to Germany.
How was that?
So
tell us about that. I know a lot of people are color.
Slovenia
probably tend to not visit countries like that. So tell us about your experience there.
Yeah, dude, there was not much color people over there, but they weren't too segregative. Someone asked me that also the other day. They're not too segregative. We had a couple of looks because we were traveling with Middle Eastern women that look Middle Eastern, and so it was just even weirder to see these people with locks hanging out with these people. You know, and we started in Croatia actually. We started in Croatia, Slovenia, and we went up that truck. And Slovenia was my favorite spot actually.
Interesting.
I love Slovenia. Yeah. It's not the first thing. Do you know that's where Game of Thrones? No, my mistake. Game of Thrones was shot in Croatia.
I had no idea. No, actually.
Yeah, so that's where that was.
All right.
Yeah, so that was a great time. I recommend people checking out Slovenia. I would put that on my bucket list.
Okay. Brian, you have any stories of opportunities, unexpected opportunities and surprises you encountered while out of the VI, out of St. Croix?
Out of St. Croix.
Anything that you could think of?
I mean, every time I'm out of St. Croix, I feel like I get like a string of good luck. I don't know, like I feel like Tyree said, like nobody knows you, so you could really bump into a random person, strike up a conversation, and it takes you a whole different way. I mean, like I remember one time traveling randomly, gainfully employed on St. Croix, struck up a conversation with this guy, and I got a job offer. It was obviously in a place I would never move to. It was a substantial amount of money, but I mean, just to show like, you could be in a random place, random time, out of your norm, and it could change your life. I mean, if I wanted to live in Kansas, you know, I would have definitely taken the job. I mean, it was a smooth 6 figures, and this man, just off of the strength of our conversation, he was just like, yeah, I definitely got a point award for you, this, that, and the third. And I was like, yeah, awesome. And then he told me he was in Kansas, and I was like,
yeah,
I ain't gonna do it. But who knows? Maybe I could have moved to Kansas and I could have changed my life.
Right. Hey.
But, you know,
a whole different person for real.
I just, you know, when you Google certain places, you know, and like certain shades, certain hues aren't there, those are places that you pass through. I don't know if I could,
I
you know,
hear you,
settle
bro.
in certain areas, you know what I'm saying? But going abroad is always good, you know. I mean, I had some
That's
opportunities
for
to do
sure.
some things like Tyree, like some short bursts. Also some missed opportunities
Yeah.
again too. So I mean, like that's good that you also took the time and you actually went for it. I had the opportunity once to go to
Yeah,
Oaxaca, Mexico, which is kind of known as the happiest place on earth, and I missed that. You know, so it's always good to go for those things. There's absolutely nothing stopping me. Application filled out. I already had the sponsor home. Just didn't go. You know, so that's also a thing. You know, you gotta trust in
I
yourself and
think
make
there's
that leap
there's
of
something
faith.
still not
so
to do.
I think there's something so freeing, so powerful about being in places where you know absolutely
Yeah.
nobody, because it just takes a weight off you where you could just essentially be whoever you want without worrying, especially when you're younger, when you care about what other people think, and you have these different thoughts. When you go
Yeah,
somewhere where nobody know you, you could care less. I used to do the dumbest shit in the
yeah,
stage just because no one knew me. That in the store, I would
yeah,
just start singing out loud for no reason. It's just something
But that's the
about
truth.
that,
Like,
and you get to
yeah,
obviously.
no,
You say,
I
Brand?
like what you say that like how you just burst into song, and it to me like for what Terry said, like leaving your comfort zone, your comfort city, your comfort state or whatever, it boosts your confidence in a way because I mean like you go to Walmart and you just break out and dance, sing, crack a joke with a stranger, you free up yourself, and then you realize that you don't have to care. So then you could take that same mentality and bring it back to your hometown, your home city, and just like
Right,
you come back light, almost in a sense
exactly.
lighter. Like you are unburdened. Like I didn't care there, so why should I care here? Or I was free there, so I could be free here. I could be
Yeah,
free anywhere. So sometimes I think it's good to leave your nest and your
yeah,
comfort and go elsewhere and realize that it's all the same. But you have to venture out to see
right.
that.
hmm.
Because at the end of the
But
day, it's just, yeah, exactly.
yeah, that,
Gante.
okay, yeah. No, I was just gonna say it's just interesting how it makes me think about just like our environment, and like and how we like impose restraints on ourselves due to just like the environment that we in. It's like the weirdest thing, dude. You know, it's a weird.
Mm-hmm.
And but Brian, I wanted to address what you had said, bro, about something that I kind of realized
Mm-hmm.
also when I went away is we have sauce as island people, and I think being from St. Croix, that add like a
Yeah,
layer, like
I
Virgin
feel,
Islands, it
dude,
add a layer
when you
vibe.
really
You,
realize I ain't want to overhype us, but I will. People from the VA really cool and
got
smooth. We
to,
could really mix and mingle anywhere. We could go to another
yeah,
island, people will be like,
Right.
I like your
yeah,
vibe. Go to another state, I like your vibe. Go to the country, where you from?
your
I
vibe,
like your
yeah,
vibe. I feel like we don't
yeah, that
That is
100%.
assimilate
facts.
anywhere and we don't become the vibe. You check what I'm saying? Like, we really that. And
Facts,
I think it's good for us to
no,
go out
I
and
didn't realize.
realize that we really the shit. So we shouldn't really be, downplaying ourselves.
Right. We should have a
Yeah,
lot more pride, and being away also does kind of create that. But that go into some of the other topics, so let's not go too into it. What I was going to say is that with that same being comfortable around strangers and to be whatever you want to be, it was actually weird because when I
Mm-hmm.
was in UF, in Gainesville, I actually became an extrovert. I consider myself to be an introvert. I'm quite a shy person around people I don't know, or around large groups. In Gainesville, I was the complete opposite. And it was weird because when I came back home, at least for the first few months, maybe into a year and change, I actually went back into that extrovert
Mm-hmm.
bubble. And to the point where like
mm,
I was invited to uh I guess to the bar, they had some event for one of our contractors. One of the peoples were retiring, either retiring or going back to the States, and he invite me to be around his colleagues just to make some mingle talk, just to basically have see his home going, him leaving the island. And I was there. I didn't know anybody, and I actually had a anxiety attack to the point where I had to make an excuse, and I just left because I just my heart pounding. I just felt so weird, So it was an interesting transition coming back from being abroad and having that whole that mentality of just being free, and then coming back to your hometown and kind of feeling that weight again, and then having to snap out of
Yeah.
it, realizing that
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, this weight don't necessarily exist. It's just because you're in your hometown, especially in a small hometown, you kind of put that weight on yourself and created something that's not even necessarily there. And to remember that shit,
Yeah.
that same person you was in the States, you could be this person right now.
You
You
could
don't
be
have
that
to
same person right here.
be whoever you want, really. All that shit is just nonsense. That was stuff you used to laugh about
Yeah,
in the
it's made
States,
up.
but yet you took
Yeah.
it serious again when you came back to St. Croix. So that was something I had to snap
Yeah.
out of, but it was pretty interesting. Never experienced that before.
So would you say that? Would you say that's something that you still like deal with
No, I don't think I deal with that anymore.
being home?
No, not. I don't. I guess I have to be in a very similar situation to that to fully know the answer to that, but I don't think
I
that I
got a
am.
question for you,
No.
Farai.
Yes,
So I feel
sir.
like you are like a roller coaster intro extra. Because like I mean like I don't really
I
believe
am a roller
UF is
coaster,
really
yes.
breakout. I feel like you was a complete extrovert
Well, no, that's a
in
lie.
UVI.
In UVI I was.
Cause let me
for
tell
sure.
you, Tyree.
In UVI I think I was probably more.
Let me tell you, Tyree.
Yeah, a lot of
Story
stories.
time. Me and Farai never used to
Oh,
be talking
Lord.
when he was in UVI and when I went Howard Bison. Let's plug that in there. I all the way in DC. He's all the way in St. Thomas. His escapades and his stories were so legendary that they made it all the way to the States. So
Well.
that guy wasn't an introvert in UVI. He didn't break out his shell in UF. That shell was broken, crumbled, and crushed in UVI.
Don't yeah,
He was outside.
yes, sir. Yeah, no, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I
You see?
definitely remember hearing his stories too.
Yeah, no. You
He
see
talking
that?
about see the guy performing live, rapping on boats, groupies
Yeah.
coming up to him
To
asking
be
for
fair,
autographs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, that was me leaving my hometown.
True.
That was in St. Thomas for
True.
y'all. I don't know. I'm from St. Croix. That was in St. Thomas. Most people were strangers. Those that weren't strangers were my peers of my same age. That's all in college,
Yeah,
ready to
yeah.
while out with me. So completely different environment.
I think
But
Yeah.
I definitely should not have left that out. That's for sure. I did have a great time in UVA St. Thomas, and I was definitely not that same introvert type person over there either. So thanks for pointing that out, Bryson.
No problem.
All right.
my son.
So yeah, I always fucking up people's name intentionally. Yet I try to make people say mine right. Ain't that hypocritical? Anyways, on to the next one. What are some tips and advice for those who never left their hometown? I may be thinking of it, maybe a little too scared, thought of it, or actually planning to go out and leave their hometown for the first time. Again, whether to travel, whether to live. What is some tips and advice you would give to that person?
Yeah, man. Well, before I point to like tips and advice, I think it's important that like I frame who this is coming from as well. You know what I mean? Not I have experience like stepping out of my comfort zone day in and day out, from traveling to these random places. I also have a travel business, so like I do business in the travel industry. My degree is in hospitality and tourism. So I do believe that I am someone who can speak about travel in many different ways. You know, so when you talk about tips and advice, it's like I get that, and I get why certain people might not want to be leaving their hometown. Or in this case, I'm gonna talk about St. Croix, because for me, I'm very passionate about St. Croix. The Virgin Islands on a whole, just us as a small island people leaving home and going abroad. It's expands your mind, right? I recommend solo traveling, you know, and that's like a next step for a lot of people. Like a lot of people might like to travel, but solo traveling to scare a lot of people, you know. So that's something that I personally think recommend that many people do. So you asked for tips and advice, right, around traveling.
Yeah,
I kind of
for those,
got lost there.
yeah, for those, I mean,
Okay, yeah.
never have done it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, man. Just go out and do it. You know, start small. Go somewhere nearby. You know, it doesn't have to be like across the side of the world, like going to Europe. That was extreme. You could go to Puerto Rico. You know, and if you went to Puerto Rico, you could go to somewhere else in the Caribbean. You know what I mean? And at some point, though, you have to start to go outside of the culture, your familiar space, because that's really where the juice is at. You know, that's really like the growth zone, right? And for me, it's all about your mindset. So the reason why I recommend traveling outside of home is because it expands your mind and what you could take in. Seeing how people live in all the way in Malaysia or the next side of the world does something to the way you've been viewing home, viewing just the world on a whole, you know. And I also can recommend. This was my downfall also. So from my experience, as much as I promote solo traveling, I can also at the same token, I would say to travel with a buddy or travel with somebody, because for me the one thing that like I kind of it kind of like hits home for me sometimes is when I talking about Hawaii and I talking about Canada. These are some of the greatest moments of my life. Like literally, of my experience, that's some of the greatest points. And for the most part, I don't have nobody to like remember it, read to like recall this memory. Like it's such a great thing to
Yes.
have someone to share a memory with, you know, because it really like keeps it alive. You know what I mean? So I recommend doing something crazy with someone as well, because then y'all could, you know, be closer while going away. And also, if you're someone, the last tip and recommendation I'll make is that if you consider yourself to be like a community person, someone that wants to give back to the community, it is important to see else is out there, you know. And it's traveling is not for everybody at the same time, you know. Like I don't want to make it seem like it's a must to go travel. Like you know if it's for you or not. Like so far, you know, like our mom, she's not someone. She enjoys her space. You know, she's not really
Right.
like the whole traveler and the adventure person. You know what I mean? Like it is a certain person that it takes to travel. It takes a certain person to do certain things. You know, like I'll never be an IT man. You know what I mean? Like I might learn a couple of things, but I ain't definitely into a brand into. I don't even know if it's IT brand, but whatever brand up to, I ain't-
Definitely
Because
not
I wear
IT. I tell you
glasses.
that.
We're gonna talk about stereotypes on our next pod. Moving along.
Yeah, no, left field. I guess some advice I mean, similar to Tyree. I mean, just do it, really, because
yeah,
when you
man.
travel is when you create the world of memories, especially if you have kids. I know if you travel as a kid before, some of those core memories come from when you traveling, especially if you're traveling to meet family or you're traveling to go do something, go to a water park, go to some things that you've never seen before. It really does expand your mind to what else is out there.
Mhm.
And then, like Tyree mentioned,
So I'm glad you said that.
and if you going abroad to places outside the US, outside the Caribbean, and I guess that's not really a tip or advice, but I guess I just wanted to speak on that. The level of appreciation that you do gain, because you realize that, for one, home ain't as bad as we like to think, because we haven't seen worse.
My
But
son, yeah,
the
bro.
amount of shit out there that's worse. Now, and that's not me giving
Yeah.
justification that some of the nonsense that we have to deal with at home is should be acceptable, but that's just me also saying that how much complaints we could have for what's here compared to what else is out there. Had you seen it, it's night and day. But I guess a next piece of advice is, again, like Terry said, start familiar. And the US, is our backyard. Really, we don't need any passport, anything to go up there, and the US is huge. So after you go to the
Mhm.
Caribbean and you do things over there, start going to the US. And if you ain't comfortable flying and you made your way to Florida, jump in a car, do a road trip, make a that your vacation. You rent a RV or something. That's something I actually want to do with some people. Just do a road trip and just go
Yeah,
down and stop different places, just vibing out on the journey rather
yeah.
than just staying
I
in a
want to say
hotel.
something to that though.
So yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I wanted to say you kind of said something that for me, like I don't know if some people have called me an extremist before, but when you say if you ain't comfortable doing this, yeah, that's the whole point, bro. For me, at least, like when I travel, it's important to be uncomfortable. That's just what I'm trying to get at, right about now. You know, it's important to put yourself in spaces that you can be uncomfortable. You know, so every now and again, definitely do try something that you're not uncomfortable with.
But for the
And I
first
could talk
time
about I
traveler,
could talk about it.
you want them to ease their way into it. You don't want them to travel for the first time
True,
and go
true.
to Saudi, and go to Afghanistan or some heck. You want them to
Yeah,
ease their
you
way
want that.
into doing some crazier type stuff.
Yeah,
That's why I say start familiar,
that's true.
then go to your backyard America, and then from there
That's true. That's true.
expand to the world. Just first get your
Yeah, baby
your
steps.
feet wet. Get your feet wet first, and then go jump in on the
Let
deep
me
end of
ask
the
you,
pool.
what percentage of the island you think have been abroad, like
Very small.
out of the Caribbean? What percentage?
I mean,
Yeah,
Very
I don't
small.
think it's too much. Yeah, I would say maybe like out of the Caribbean as a whole, a guesstimate would probably be like slightly over half.
I
That's
think it's
better
a
than me.
bit
I was gonna
smaller
say
far.
at
I
least
think
half.
now we're in the age where people like in our age group and maybe our parents are now getting big into the travel, but you have to keep in mind, like,
But aren't we to a
I
point?
know people here on this island who never even been to East End.
This
I
is
know
true,
people who live in East who never
but
been on Big
You know,
Dock.
people like that.
which is crazy,
You know, so
which is
This one.
a lot of
crazy.
people.
But I the only reason I say that, uh, you
No,
continue.
no, no, no.
Sorry
I
for
think you
interrupting.
will piggybacking on what I said. So go ahead.
No, but I was saying the reason I say that percentage is because I was looking for the article the other day, but aren't we to a point where there's more Virgin Islanders living abroad percentage wise than there is in the VI number wise? It's actually a larger number.
But that would be because of
We
the generation that moved there. I would say like Gen X were were
Yeah,
a
a
bulk
lot of
that
people
moved to the
moved and
States and
never
then
came back.
started having their kids up there, and then their kids matriculate back and forth between the Virgin Islands and there. But I'm talking about on the bulk density of
mm,
people. I mean, like a lot of people even haven't experienced the Caribbean because most of our other neighboring islands need a passport to travel there. So that already wipes out Caribbean travel because people don't have
a
passports.
lot of people,
And
right?
then
Mm.
when I say travel, I mean beyond common traveling spots. People from let's just keep it on the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Typically go to Florida, Texas, Georgia, and New York. Those are our hubs. So when you talk about people matriculating outside of those four major hubs or outside of St. Croix, it's very small. You know, it's almost like a tether. They go like here,
Yeah.
there, here, there. But I'm talking about people who go out the country, explore the Caribbean, or
Yep.
go to random states. Like how many
I
people
agree.
went to Wyoming or something random like that?
Yeah. That
It's very
people
small.
Right.
that percentage is small. That's a good
True.
that's a
And
good point
Brian
you
did
made
mention
there. And I
another
think
good tip. Sorry, that's go
no
out
no
and get your
go ahead.
passport. Ain't too
Yeah, bro.
expensive. Get your passport. Shout out to moms. Shout out to the parents, because we had passports for as long as I can remember. I didn't even know that not having a passport was a thing
Was I
until I
thinking right?
start
I agree.
talking to other people, especially in the States. Down
The
here, it's
States,
more
yeah,
common to
we're a
have a
bit
passport, but in the States, god damn, it's like nobody has a passport. Like what the hell? And I understand the
yeah.
US is huge. A lot of people don't even think about or even consider leaving the US because you could travel to the US your entire life and still not go everywhere. But I thought it was weird
Mm.
because that's something I grew up always having and always being a thing. So
Mm.
that's another
Yeah.
tip.
I don't know if this is I don't know if this is a question that's gonna come up or something, but you had said something earlier that for me, man, that's exactly what I'm out to like create, like in the upcoming years of my life. The youth, dog. The youth is the answer for everything. I'm gonna just be straight up. So if we're talking about like expanding our mind and we talk about bettering our island and everything like that, we got to be able to, and I say we got to do this, and like I also talk to myself like that's one thing I'm gonna just go off a bit tangent. You know, one thing I don't really like that when people be going on like platforms or even senators at times, like people just be like saying, "Oh, we have to do this," and like this is what I got to do, but like they don't really be trying to do it themselves. You know, they be just doing a lot of talking sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when I share right now, I'm being responsible for the fact that I know, like I'm saying this because this is what I'm up to. It's like the actions that I will also will be taking. Like when you're saying like how our islands is rough and most of us tend to complain about how it is and everything, and like going away and seeing that things could be worse than that. I just think what's important is being able to breed a generation that has that value of travel or like the benefits of that traveling can give you, and then like you also talked about the fact that like a lot of Virgin Islanders are off island than they are on island. And it's like, what if we were to start to change this mindset from a young person in a way that like we traveling off, yes, and then bringing it home in a way like to do something, not to travel. I'm like, oh, these other places better. I want to go there. But like, what we gotta start changing the mindset is that like we could do something here. I personally do not entertain that conversation that like, oh, St. Croix is garbage. We don't have nothing. What about this? Like, yeah, these things are happening, like you said, far, but that's not. I'm not going to allow that to shape and like alter the beauty that I see in my islands. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
know that I could make a change here. You know what I mean? And like, imagine if we just started to intentionally breed a generation of like change makers. And like just having the world as our classroom in a way where like they could see other things and then come home and then, like do a project or like just something like that. Yeah, that's big stuff. I want to give a shout out to Project Promise because that's a nonprofit on St. Croix that like they do a lot of they travel with youth and like they do like volunteer work in different places. And I don't know how much that correlates back to bringing home, but that is exposure that we was talking about. That can
So
expose
they
youth.
take kids off island to other places.
Yeah, I've seen that they take they call them their caterpillars, and I've seen that they take them like on like a tour of different places in America, and like I think they're building homes, but don't quote me on that. But they were doing like community give back and engagement and things like that. Things like I think that's inspiring and very cool. So something that I intend to do in the community is incorporate my travel business and travel in the community in a way that can improve the quality of living and life here.
That's a respectable mission, my brother.
Yeah, man.
And we kind of done speak on the rewards of leaving the familiar behind and leaving your hometown, which most of it all points back to personal growth, opportunity. But what are some of the physical like challenges that you think holds back people? Me personally, I think the main thing is just fear. Because it's very easy to attach yourself to comfort. It's very
Yeah,
easy to I guess
very.
be addicted to comfort to the point where anything that's not comforting or comfortable is a terrifying thought to even
Yeah,
think about stepping out of that pool. So,
100%.
y'all had any other potential psychological challenges that people may face when it comes to making that next step and stepping out what's familiar?
Psychological, you say?
The fear of the unknown.
Yeah, that's
That's one for sure. The fear. Well, it is fear. Like I mean, you said, yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You said
I
fear,
think
but
that
that
it's
that
fear for different reasons,
fear
I
that
guess.
Yeah,
fear of the
yeah.
unknown, which again turns back to it being uncomfortable because the unknown is very uncomfortable. Um, I
Yeah,
can't really think of
that comes
anything
from.
else. I mean, I guess for those that have families, they some people have older grandparents that they were close to, and they don't want to leave with the potential of them. That's another fear, but a little different than fear of the unknown. You find with traveling, but you
Yeah,
don't want to leave that
that's
person
kind of
behind.
obligation.
Um,
Yeah, that's obligation, and still wait around that. At first I thought you said physical, but you said psychological, right?
yeah, psychological. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I mean, physical challenges, I guess, would be not having the money, not being able to
I
walk,
don't
or get up to
I
go
don't know if
and
it's
leave the island.
I don't know the psychological term for it, but I think haste is what's coming to mind for me. A lot of people have this unrealistic expectation that, if they go to the States, everything's supposed to work out. They're either supposed to have the best time or all their problems supposed to just dissipate. So I think like having that unrealistic expectation and not wanting to shatter that dream is a big reason why people tend to just stay complacent. You want to keep that dream
Mm.
alive. And
Oh
if you
man,
step into that and it
Mm.
doesn't
you
work
ever
out
read
that
The
way,
Alchemist, Brad?
it can potentially break them. So I think, that may fall under the fear factor as well. I don't know. You tell
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, for sure. But I also do think that would fall heavily on people that did leave St. Croix to go to the States seeking better opportunity, and it's not what they thought it was. And they want to make that step and leave what's familiar to them now in the States and go back home, but they're just so scared of it because of whatever reasons, whether they see social media and they have their thoughts about it or not. And I do think that applies to Virgin Islanders in the States as well. That now that became the familiar place, and coming back home is now
And
an
now they're fearful to
unfamiliar
come home.
and scary, uncomfortable
Yeah,
thought. Because a lot of people,
yeah.
honestly, the States ain't for everybody, and they have people that would much rather come back to St. Croix, deal with whatever people complain about, and be happy. I'm one of those people. I don't care to live in the States. I do understand, sure, there's opportunities, there's things up there, but here is where I want to be. I've been in the States. I wasn't really feeling that vibe.
You want
So
Let me
I'm happy
dive
now.
into that a little bit for real, far right? 'Cause some of the biggest things people are complaining about, and it's the truth. It'll be like the opportunities aren't the same here, so they tend to stay in the States and their jobs ain't paying. But then when you really look at the career paths of a lot of the people in the Virgin Islands, if you really put your mind to it, you could have that career here because some of these aren't like stone figure careers. Like I'm an
Talk to
engineer
them.
here. Like you're just doing something that happens to pay well. So how about you just bring that back here? I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but I mean, like some of the
Yeah.
careers aren't like
I mean,
footholds to say like that's the reason you're coming back St. Croix, you're not going back home. And sometimes
Mm.
these people aren't
you,
happy. Like I don't care what facade some of them are putting up.
They're not
They are
even.
working all day, spending some of them an hour commute to and from, and only tend to have fun when somebody from elsewhere visits. So I mean, if money is your only driving factor and you're eliminating your happiness and comfortability, what's the point? What dream are you living? It sounds like a
right,
nightmare.
and that's that.
Brian, dog,
It seems
dog,
like
Dog.
you're living a
Brian.
nightmare for a
Yes,
dollar, and
dog.
that's ridiculous to me.
That's what we really got to
Man,
start to face, bro. That's
that's
the
the truth.
real
That
situation here.
when you put it into words, people don't think of it like how you just now explained it. But that's really
Yeah, I mean,
the
like, do you
life
see
that,
how they sound
for
like when
one,
they
that
come
most
back home?
Americans
Like,
live.
oh God, I miss
That
it.
that's kind of the culture. That's kind of the culture of
Yeah,
America.
dog.
That you really just working. It's about the money you work into. A lot of people honestly can't afford a comfortable life, and they just really
A
working to
lot of
pay the
these
bills.
guys
It's just
can't
about the
afford to
money.
take a
And then the
vacation
thing,
because rent is due, car note is due, food.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about it, it's like almost like same
Yeah.
situation in either
Yeah,
places. Like
it's very
there's
similar.
something to
That's
share
why
about, but
The big difference
it,
is
it
we could go
it's
and
really
and that
wash our worries away in the beach.
say Brian
We're
exactly,
in
and we could
paradise. I
go and
mean,
pick
you
some
could
fruit
hey,
never
if I
go
broke.
y'all
hungry
know
in your city. I hope. I hope.
in the first notes. Let me go read
Yeah,
the first section of the script that I sent to
There we
everyone
go.
because it's sounding a lot like that shit right now. Pod is not about VI versus states vibe. It's about leaving your hometown, stepping out your comfort zone as a means of personal
But
growth.
you also have to
We could easily
realize,
go
yes,
into the
let's swing back to that. Let we hit on this
yeah.
point.
Bring it back. Run it back,
Sometimes
Turbo.
when you're growing in an environment and you feel like you hit the glass ceiling and you want to change your environment, right? Sometimes that environment may not be for the better. That soil may be contaminated. And that's what me and Tyree kind of slip into. We're gonna revert back, but
true.
sometimes maybe that ceiling
True.
was there for a reason, to keep you safe, to keep you warm, to, I don't know, break down the rays of the sun. And sometimes stepping out that box, even though sometimes you need to step into deeper water to say, okay, maybe this pool was good enough for me. So growth is good, but sometimes familiarity is also good too. We got to tiptoe on both sides, but you're right, Farai. Let's go back to personal growth and
And
determination from stepping outside your
yeah,
pool. That sometimes, you think you're swimming with the big
you get
sharks and
yourself.
you've only been
Hey,
swimming with dolphins. And in order to get better, you got to go from the pool to the ocean so you can know you really, test what you're really about. So you're right.
Yeah. Hey, I think my boy Uncle Iro right now from Avatar,
Rest in peace.
and he invited rest in peace, Uncle Iro, 100%. Um, he he discovered lightning bending after studying the waterbenders, right? So I only say that to say the fact that incorporating things to hone and improve and transform what you have your own thing. And I just had to say, Brian, we talking about what we was talking about just then, like going away and realizing that that's not really it, and etc. The missing piece that he's seen is the courage that it would take to come back home and incorporate the lifestyle that you want up there. Like the bigness that you found, the personal growth that you got from going up there. It's like coming back home and the courage that it takes. Cause it does take something to do it. Like it is easier said than done. But I just thinking about what that would look like if we started to take that step to to come back home, or to not necessarily come back home, but to just go somewhere and then realize it's not serving you, and then taking that the lessons, and then coming back to the place that serves you with the newfound experiences
That's
and
facts. It's like,
etc.
with the intent of sharing it for the growth of the
yeah.
community instead of with the
Or,
intent of coming
or it
back
could
to the
just be
community just to make
individual
money.
growth. Remember, like we spoke on a previous pod fire, like incorporating what Tyree said. Like sometimes you have to leave your area, your comfort zone, to find your authentic self. Like you may not know who you are because you've been sheltered and tampered, and people say you can't do this, you can't do that. You go
Yeah,
away, no, like you said, Tyree, nobody knows you. You could really just drop all that burden and find who you truly are. And then if you feel like this
Right.
environment
It
is not
makes it
for you,
easier.
you could still take back the simple things of your self growth. It doesn't have to be anything that changes the world, but just the fact that you blossomed into who you truly want to be.
yeah,
And in order to do that, you had to leave your nest. You had to go to find yourself, and then hopefully, if
yeah.
you want to, you could come back and you can be yourself, and that could blossom into something different because now people could get to see the authentic you. You don't have to worry about being judged because you don't have to care
Woo.
because you
Yes,
stand on
sir.
who you are now. You've grown, you've
Yes, sir.
tested it through time, and that's the best thing you could do for yourself sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the best thing you can do for yourself, and the best thing
The
you can
ones
do
around you,
for the
yes,
people, the ones
because they
around
get
you
to
too.
meet.
You
Wow,
know,
this is the real
Because you become a
Tyree.
better
You know,
person.
this is the real far right. So that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It sounded really like it sounded like the base of the conversation,
Mm.
and when we're talking about personal growth, is really stepping into the stuff that's the experiences that serves you, you know, and that looks like leaving sometimes, and that looks like staying away sometimes, and then it
Yep.
looks like coming back home sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that
And mhm.
no, no, go.
I was gonna say I could share a real life experience
Right.
right now. Bro. That's that's one thing about me I can acknowledge myself for. I just step into
Bump.
yo me. You funny to fight. Yo, that was funny to fight. No. I'd definitely I'm quick to realize that things don't serve me, or I acknowledge myself for staying true to the things that serve me, you know. And I literally, when we was talking about like what some people just like working for the money, you know, living in America, just working to pay bill, working to pay bill, and it can't. I personally cannot live a life where I doing something for the sake of the money or for the sake of having to do it. Like that's just not who I am, dog. I'm not one of those people, you know. And like my journey of choosing myself and my journey of personal growth has led me time in and time out to the path that is what I want and the life that I want to create for myself. And it led me to this job that I've been doing. I've been working for like a nonprofit, and it got to a point, dog, where I literally had to like look within myself, and I found that I was like not happy, and I was like miserable. Not miserable. I was like avoiding a lot of my responsibilities, and I wasn't showing up at work. And essentially, bro, I just resigned from the position that I was working. But and that came inside just. I was telling my employer that like, yo, I actually am doing this for the money, dog, and I don't really like the stuff that I'm doing. You know what I mean? But that took courage. That took courage to tell the guy that's paying you money. You know what I mean? That this ain't something that I like to do, and I'm doing it for the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And after telling him that, he was just like, "Oh well, you can't like, you got to resign, bro." And at first it was kind of scary, but I realized that it was very freeing because that's I was being true to myself. You know what I mean? Like he was talking about, like I know my authentic self. I know like what makes me light up, and the specific kind of work that I had to do, it wasn't lighting me up. You know what I mean? And telling him, being straight with him, and telling him that like I just doing this for the money, and then come to the point where now I have the opportunity to resign. It freed me up to realize that yeah, man, this I really could now do the things I want to do. Align myself better with the life that I see for myself. You know what I mean? And even inside of me, just being honest and authentic, it, the possibility of me having another position that's part time um came into the picture. So now I'm literally doing parts of the job that I really liked to do. I'm doing only that on a part time basis. Of course, with less pay, but it wasn't about the pay in the first place. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's about my happiness brand, like we were just talking about. You know what I mean? So I think for me, that's a perfect example of like what serves you, and like having the courage, because it is facing your fears to speak your authentic truth. And we have to remember that, and this is for everybody listening, we have to remember that it's gonna always serve us. Like it's gonna always turn out in a way in our favor when we stepping into what serves us.
And for the
Yeah, bro.
listeners as well, Tyree would not have gotten to this point of authenticity if he had not stepped out of the nest and left his hometown and made some of these self discoveries and go through some of these growth
Yes.
processes. It comes back full circle because you being able to
Full circle.
experience things outside of your hole, outside of your pool, really just allows you
Yes.
to learn yourself in with different variables that never existed before. Um,
Exactly.
and that is a priceless lesson that you get to learn when you go abroad and you find some answers. Some that you wasn't even necessarily going on a self journey trip or going to think about any of this stuff, but yet you came back with
Yes,
lessons that's lifelong and shifted your life for the rest of your life. Really, that's how powerful
exactly.
simply leaving your hometown can be. So
Yes, been out that comfort zone. And damn, you said something. I wanted to say something too, bro. My gosh, no, no, that was good though. Yeah. It'll be like that, son.
oh, you wasn't.
It'll come back to me.
Oh, you forgot it.
I forgot it. No, but that was beautiful though. That was beautiful. Very well said. Well said.
And
Full
before we
circle
go
for sure.
into you, everything else you're doing, you kind of gave a good breakdown on a lot of things that you've been doing. If y'all ain't noticed by now, by the way, we did lose Web. He's still alive. It's nothing that crazy.
To the end
But
of the pod, the man said we lose Web.
Yeah, he dropped off. I know I was supposed to mention it way before, but he did have to drop off. And he just tell us to the show must go
He
on.
ran out of
keep it pushing,
luxurious
so
beard grease,
that's what we
so he
doing.
had to go and restock that. Don't worry, guys. He's gonna come back shinier than ever.
I would have loved to hear his perspective as the one that lives in the
He
States.
lives in a
It
hot
would
pot.
have been great.
There wouldn't
but
be much
hey,
to offer. Who lives in Arizona?
show must go on, man.
It's a random ass state.
Arizona is a beautiful place, man. Depending on where. But the last thing I wanted to mention before you take the mic away, Tay, is just the how leaving home can reshape your sense of identity and belonging and your pride from where you came from. Just have you experienced growth in your pride of the Virgin Islands and where you came from being abroad and things like that? Or have you been abroad and you it's more like, God damn, this place is trash, dog. Fuck this place. I don't want to be no damn Virgin Island. I fuck these people.
No, that
Okay, so
never, bro. No, bro. No, that look was like, of course, but I was just like, I almost moved to tears, just like how much I love being a Virgin Islander, bro. You know what I mean? Just like we are so special, friends. We are so special, dog. I could cry right now, bro. Brand, you had said earlier that like, yes, it's something about like just it's like when we're talking about the sauce and everything. Yo, we are rare. We are rare. Literally, if you think about it for a second, bro. If you look at the world and you look at these other big places, and then you look at the Virgin Islands, St. Croix specifically right now, we are rare in the world.
Our own little block.
Yes. There's billions of Russian, there's billions of Chinese man and all these people. There is not many of us in the world. So just that alone, like we are already winning just by natural talent and rareness in the world. Like diamonds and gems, they are valued because they're rare. Okay, so that's first and foremost. But going away to these places, it got me at that, like me being such a stand for my community came from, I mean, yes, my background of my dad being a senator growing up, and I suppose seeing the example, like seeing close hand that like if I wanted to, I can impact my community. But being away for sure, especially to Hawaii, Honolulu, and like I studied tourism, like I said, like seeing the way that our home can essentially become like, and when I say this place, I'm talking about a place that's like our culture, our way of life is only used for entertainment's sake. It's not necessarily in the hands of the people. There's a very limited amount of Virgin Islanders in the Virgin Islands. Like that's a reality for Hawaii right now. Like they're fighting for their own identity, their likeness. That's what the fight they got going on right now in Hawaii. You know what I mean? So when I see things like that, and just me being who I am, for me, I get charged up when I go to different places because, like, one, I know I'm special. Two, everybody around me know I'm special because, like, they're just attracted to the island man vibe, like that Crucian energy. It's real, So it's just hard to not love where I'm from. Like I don't know, like I'm not phased by the circumstances that we face in the community. I thought UVI was trash, but I went to these different schools. I realized all colleges is trash, and they're they're all
There's
full of
more
BS
expensive
now. You
trash.
know what I
That's all
mean?
it is,
They're
really
all
and truly.
it's just all it is, bro. So yeah, man, it's just like I love my home, and I love that it's like a small place because I get to become a instead of living away and staying away and being a small fish in a big pond. I get to go away, get bigger, come back and be a big fish in a big pond and be able to do the stuff that I want to do. Like that's just how I see it.
Hey, and that is say
Yeah,
that all the
this is
time.
my home,
That is say that
and
all the
especially in
time.
tourism, like Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I agree to his sentiments, and it's gonna look a lot different than how he did it, But I'm definitely this is my home. And especially like I was saying, like in tourism, like that is my field of expertise, and people have this way of tourism, but I see tourism like so different than a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like people, like we talking about, people gonna be traveling regardless. You know what I mean? So it's not about. I'll quickly just say this: it's not about like shutting people away or trying to like tell people don't come. That's phony baloney. They come in anyways. You know what I mean? How do we make it in a way where they know, like I say all the time, that you can't come in my house and just move my couch wherever you want to move my couch and just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? We got to start to think like let's take ownership of this, make it in a way that's sustainable, make it in a way that's just like these different stuff. So for me and tourism, like that's why I come home and that's why I give back to my community, because sooner it's not gonna even be my community. It's just gonna be, I don't see white man living in Brian house and Brian living in his car. That
Bad
he got
man will
rent for
never
that same
sell
partner.
out to the imperialistic rule of an outsider. Gaza.
And for those of y'all that don't know the state of where Hawaii is in, where they're really just losing their identity, like Terry said, just look it up. It is kind of it's a crisis. I don't know if they label it as such in Hawaii as of yet, but the
We've been a
foreigners
crisis for
has pretty much
years.
taken over their lands, and they've been in that for
Years.
years. They've been.
It's a
Anytime you hear
serious point now.
Hawaiians talk about it, they always mention that. They mention that pretty often. But if you don't know, I just advise you to take a look, because St. Croix, the VI, I don't know if y'all been here in the past 10 years, but it's a lot different than what it used to look like. And it's happening a lot faster than how it used to happen. And the rate is only increasing as the years go by.
Because everybody.
So I could imagine how much that could rev you up, Tyree, about just knowing what that could become from being in a place where it is already happening, and
Yep.
and now seeing like the what they potentially saw maybe 50 years ago when it first started happening, and it was just talks and
the next
complaints
thing
before,
too,
but no ownership was taken,
yeah,
so
exactly. Just complaining and just talking about. And the next thing, just really quickly about that, and why it's important that we just realize the opportunity that we have here in the Virgin Islands. Hawaii, they kind of had that influx of people coming before like, and I did like my research on, like I did a paper about this and everything, but like back like in the 40s and the 50s, before like tourism and like this industry was really a thing, they've been having people coming in and like, what I mean, they're like the poster child of tourism in a sense, what I mean, before they even had their own department of tourism, before all these stuff, they've been having these visitors be coming and everything. So it was a lot harder for them to get ahead of the game, get ahead of the curve, because of the exposure they've had from such a long time ago.
right.
You know what I mean? For us, people are only relatively recently finding out about the
People
Virgin
only
Islands. You
really
know what I mean? So we still
start
have
peeking into the Virgin Islands. Again, every time you could see the influx of people that always
after
come
the
after
hurricane.
natural gas. That most people discover the Virgin Islands after Hurricane
Yep.
Hugo, because help to come with a price. They came to provide aid, but they stayed.
Hmm.
You check.
Yep.
Same happened
So,
with after
After
exactly,
Irma,
Irma
man.
after Maria,
or
you saw
Maria.
those large spikes.
They came. Contractors came. A bunch of people came. FEMA
Yeah.
came.
So
Rent went through the
it's
roof.
also a crisis for us right now too. If we don't lock down in the next 10 years, that's what you're saying. Like this is like
And right now
it's
we're
like now
facing
or
the biggest
never.
crisis,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
when it comes.
people just leaving and not coming back. People, like you said, homes just staying here,
Selling their places
things stuck in
and
probate, getting back
or leaving it
for
and just
lack of
go into
tax
horrible.
payments. So any reason for those people to come and buy up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. It's in the hands of the people right about now, you know. And I think I would say I'm doing my part by coming out here, sharing the knowledge and the wisdom and just my perspective as this person in the world. I mean, I know I'm gonna be doing something about it. I'm already doing something about it.
Let them know. Talk. So
Can't do it by myself, man. Nothing talk goes up.
so do you have anything else? You did mention your traveling business. I know protect ourselves right now. That was the nonprofit that you was a part of working for. Anything else
Yeah,
you
I
want
still working
to mention, talk about on your end, big up yourself, whatever you want to say.
yeah, man. I big on myself, man. I'm a big fish, yo. Big dog. No. That's my identity and ego. Well, you know, I gonna big up that. You know what I mean? You gotta big it up. You know, yeah, my the protect yourself right now. That's just work that I do in the community. That's one of the works I do in the community. The nonprofit is actually called Arch Institute. We won't do too much speaking about that because that is, I mean, it is a part of what I do, and we are impacting the substance abuse and misuse, and along with the mental health in the community. So that I do some of that work. My self expression is in travel right now, like you said, Tafara. Yes, I do have a travel business. I help people build businesses in the travel industry. So I sell travel. So that is something that's fun for me. I can both people with travel and I can also help them build their own business in the travel industry as well. So that's afforded me wonderful opportunities and leadership opportunities. Something I want to talk about also is I we are putting. I think you know this so far, but we are actually putting together. I do taekwondo, so I teach martial arts in the community. We are actually right now putting together a martial arts tournament. So
Yeah,
if
I
you're
did
in the
not know that.
community, you did not. Yes. Our class is looking very hot. Like they're looking. Brian, Brian will work out in the same gym we have class in. You know, so I don't know if Brian ever people inside there, but
Yeah,
the class is hot right
this is the
now. So
biggest
I
size
was
I've
like, no, we
seen
need.
in a long time. You know, it shows that you guys are doing something
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I must, sometimes I feel like maybe I should come in here and get
exactly.
my white belt too.
Then you can come in and get your
I
ass
mean,
beat. No.
I'm more of a judo guy, so I may hit you with a quick flip. I ain't really know nothing about taekwondo, but I
I like that.
definitely know judo.
Yeah, well, this tournament gonna be for people like you. You know, it's gonna be different martial arts coming together. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And that's something that I'm planning. Well, we are planning as a team. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. That's also something I want to share here. That's going to be happening in October. So if you know anyone that does martial arts, we'll be having information out shortly. Serenity's Nest is also a big part of what I do. I every Sunday check us out at Serenity's Nest, and that's really that's some of the biggest things that I'm up to: the travel and business, Serenity's Nest, Taekwondo, and putting together this tournament, and Arch Institute, impacting the community. That is me in a nutshell, man.
All right.
Community activist, life enthusiast, because life is beautiful, you know. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna shout out my people listening, Shout out to my girlfriend. Shout out to Keturah. Shout out to the family. Shout out to I'm also shout out to another podcast. Is that weird to
It don't
do?
matter. I'm
Nah,
gonna edit it out.
you do your do.
No, but it's your people them, man. With the Green podcast, man.
Okay,
Shout out Chris and the people them. You know, I watched that one episode that y'all do together. That was my first time like watching
Yeah, thanks for
like a
coming through.
podcast, really
Yeah.
and truly. Like what y'all.
When we been looking ridiculous. Well, me especially with my bad
It
spelling
was
and
scripted, guys.
glasses
It was
and stuff.
scripted. We were supposed to lose.
Yeah, we were supposed to lose that. They wrote it that
It
way.
was rigged.
They had the spelling right out for me to spell wrong. Okay.
And you read it wrong.
Oh man,
It was.
nah. It was
was
an
okay with-
alternate, man.
Yeah, man. It was fun though, but it was.
Shout out with the game, man. Them
But-
guys cool.
But thank you for coming through, Tyree. Yes, shout
Yeah,
out
this
to
was great.
Serenity's Nest, like he said, every Sunday down by Salt Riverside. The vibe
Free
is great.
promotion plugs. I
Vibe
see
is
you
great.
guys.
So y'all should check it out. You get bar, you get beautiful, great food, you get lovely music, you
You
get
think
great
Pulitzer will
vibes.
sponsor the pod? All this
Yeah,
free
man.
advertisement.
As my boy mentioned, he is a travel agent. He also trains people up
Travel
to
business owner.
right, a travel business
There's a
owner
big
now.
difference.
Where you could
I
potentially
own a
have
travel
those
agency.
agent type relationships with places. I imagine that comes with perks.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
imagine that comes with a whole lot of things, and he's able.
Lots
If
of-
you're
lots of
interested in
perks and lots-
tapping into that, look your plug right there. He could get you that. He could get you into that space and get you up and running.
If you're someone that wants to do your own work, want to own your own business, travel, tap in for sure. I'm helping a good bit of people right now. I plan to expand that, and that's like, thank you for leaving that last note there, call to action
Yes, sir.
in my line.
And before we go, Webb in here, so I'll take the torch for him. Before we leave, we try to do it every pod. We just like to give gratitude for anything really. Usually it's something that happened within the past week, but you could give your gratitude for anything. So I guess I'll start. I'll give gratitude for. I've been home. My wife, she start work Wednesday, and the children start school next week. So needed somebody to be with the kids. I don't usually get that opportunity, so I am grateful for just being able to be with them without super mom around. Little old dad had that time to spend with his kids alone, and I did also have the opportunity to go with my son to the movies. Just me and him. That was pretty cool, pretty awesome. So giving gratitude for that.
Nice.
Tyree?
Nice for sharing. Oh yes, me. I am grateful for this opportunity first and foremost, and I am grateful for the life that I get to live. Man, I'm truly blessed to be where I'm at, to be able to do the things that I want to do, and grateful for my parents for bringing me into this world, and I'm grateful for my girlfriend. I'd say that much. She's like really a wonderful support, and she really helps me to create the life that I want for myself. So I'm gonna say that as well. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Respect.
Respectable. What are the I grateful for? Definitely shout out the other half, as you got far, what ailments I went through a few weeks ago. So she really held it down for me. Just some gruesome times, if I do say so. And then shout out to the fellas, man, for the good conversation we are able to have here on this podcast. Shout out our partner Kenny for the return at the Machiavelli. Had a good conversation with him the other day. So yeah, that's about it.
I was fired.
And with that, guys,
Yeah.
peace over the
So
heart. Thank
Go
you
to
for coming
school.
through, and see you at the next one, man. Much love.
Beautiful. Round of applause, everybody. That was good.